Chapter 5. Become a master of change. Events will take their course. It is no good our being angry at them. He is happiest who wisely turns them to the best account. Epictetus. The only thing constant in life today is change. Change is the law of growth, and growth is the law of life. It's amazing how many people want things to get better but stay the same. This is simply not possible. Once upon a time, while Albert Einstein was teaching at Princeton University, he had just administered an examination to an advanced class of physics students and was on his way back to his office. His teaching assistant was carrying the exams. The teaching assistant had worked for Dr. Einstein for 2 years. A bit hesitatingly, he asked, "Dr. Einstein, isn't this the same exam that you gave to this same class last year?" Einstein replied, "Yes, it is the same exam." The teaching assistant was a bit confused. He asked, "Dr. Einstein, how could you give the same exam to the same class 2 years in a row?" Einstein replied simply, "The answers have changed. In the fast-moving world of physics at that time, with new discoveries every few weeks, the same questions could actually generate different answers a year later. Your answers are changing in your life. The same holds true. Your answers are changing at a more rapid rate than ever before. If someone were to ask you, what was your biggest problem a year ago? What was your most important goal a year ago? What was your biggest challenge a year ago? You would have a hard time remembering. The answers have changed completely. Exercise, identify the areas of your life where your answers are changing the most rapidly. What will you be doing 1 year from today based on the current direction of change? Economists at Harvard University made 3 predictions some time ago. First, they said that in the next year, there will be more change in your industry than ever before. Second, there will be more competition in your industry than ever before. And third, there will be more opportunities in your industry than ever before, but they will be different from the opportunities of today. As it happens, these predictions were made in 1952 and have been true almost every year since then. Thinking for a change, what is the highest paid work of all? The answer is thinking. Thinking is the highest paid and most important work that you do, or that anyone else does. And this is for a specific reason. The reason is consequences. In 30 years of studying time management and personal effectiveness, I have concluded that the potential consequences of doing or not doing something are the single most important consideration in terms of priorities. An action is important if there are big potential consequences, positive or negative, of doing it or not doing it. An action is unimportant if it has low or no potential consequences. Your ability to correctly anticipate the likely consequences of an action is a hallmark of higher intelligence. Consider the consequences of all the things you do. The quality of your thinking has the greatest consequences of all for your life. The quality of your thinking determines the quality of your decisions. The quality of your decisions determines the quality of your actions. The quality of your actions determines the quality of your results. And in life and work, results are everything. Almost every great success in your life has been preceded by carefully thinking through what you're going to do and then doing it well and in a timely fashion. Almost every mistake in your life was the result of not thinking things through sufficiently. In both cases, the consequences of your thinking have a major impact on the quality of your life. Your ability to think well determines how positive, happy, and constructive you are, and it is determined by the thinking tools that you apply to a world of rapid change. One of the greatest sources of stress, frustration, and unhappiness is an unwillingness or inability to deal with the inevitable impact of change in every area of your life. Fortunately, there are a series of tools that you can use to become a master of change rather than a victim of circumstances. Expect it. We said earlier that most negative emotions arise from frustrated expectations. You expect something to happen in a certain way, and when it doesn't, you become angry and often lash out at others as the cause of your disappointment. But when you use your superior thinking abilities, you will begin to expect change as a normal, natural, and inevitable part of life. Like a willow tree, you will bend with the winds of change rather than snapping like a pine tree when the storms of life come through. There are 3 factors driving change in the world of business and careers today: information explosion, technology expansion, and competition. Information explosion: the amount of information in any field is doubling every 2 to 3 years, and in some technical fields, much faster. More than 5 million books and articles are published each year in magazines, newspapers, and newsletters of all kinds. And one small piece of data amid this information avalanche can have a major impact on your life, your work, and your family. In Disney's animated version of Alice in Wonderland, the White Rabbit is always running anxiously in place, saying, I'm late for a very important date." Later, in the sequel, Through the Looking Glass, the Queen says to Alice, "Now, here, you see, it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. If you want to get somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast as that." Today, just to stay even with your field and to maintain your current income, you must be continually reading in your field, learning new ideas and ways of doing your job better. It's hard not to feel like the White Rabbit, frantically running around the Queen's country to stay afloat, let alone move forward. Technological expansion and change, the second factor driving change today, is technology. Hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of the finest minds that have ever lived are working day and night to develop technology that does things faster, better, cheaper, and more conveniently than anything that currently exists. The rule is that if it is on the market, it is already obsolete. Just to stay even, you must continually master new technologies, learning how to use and apply them to improve your life and get your job done faster. Look at what has happened in our lives with the introduction of the iPhone and all the apps and capabilities it makes available to us. What will be invented in the future is almost beyond our imagination. Competition. The third factor driving change is the growth of competition. Millions of people all over the world are driven and determined to improve the quality of their lives by producing and selling products and services of a higher quality and at a lower price to customers everywhere, and thus increasing the success of their businesses. To survive and thrive in our modern market society, you must be as determined and aggressive as your competitors in serving your customers. You have to run twice as hard just to stay in the same place. Customers today are more demanding, disloyal, and self-centered than ever before. They have more choices and more knowledge about what they want and what they have to pay to get it. They are fickle, willing to drop a longtime supplier immediately for a better combination of price and quality somewhere else. Look at what Jeff Bezos of Amazon has accomplished by offering millions of products at reduced prices with overnight delivery. As of 2017, he was the third richest man in the world because of his ability to serve customers faster. You can be sure of only one thing. Whatever you're doing today, you have to be doing it vastly better 1 year from now just to keep your job. You must be continually upgrading your skills and your ability to get more and better results. Like a runner in a race, if you slow down, the other runners will pass you, and you may find it impossible to catch up. Change in your personal life, you should also expect changes in your marriage and in your relationships with other people. As people grow and mature, they develop new tastes, more definite personalities, and different goals and aspirations, and they often become completely different people. You have heard of the 7-year itch. It seems there is a cycle of 7 years in almost every part of human life. Over the course of 7 years, people, children, spouses, companies, jobs, and your own wants and desires evolve and change, sometimes completely. Every cell in your body is brand new every 7 years. Every cell of your skin is brand new every 30 days. As you grow and mature, your level of fitness, overall health, bodily image, and levels of energy will continue to change, sometimes in ways that you may not like. The Passages of Life in the book Passages, Gail Sheehy writes that adults go through major transitions approximately every 10 years. Between the ages of 18 and 22, people go from dependent teenagers to largely self-sufficient adults. Between the ages of 28 and 32, they go from a time of experimentation to one of settling down into marriages and careers. From 38 to 42, people settle into their careers and families, largely stabilize their lives, and begin to realize that many of the things they originally planned to do with their lives are not going to happen. Between the ages of 48 and 52, people get settled more deeply into their careers, often divorce and go their separate ways, and begin thinking about the second half of life and retirement. And finally, from 58 to 62, most people are quite resigned to their lives and to what they have accomplished or failed to accomplish. They are more concerned with comfort, security, and retirement as they look toward their 70s and 80s. Changes are inevitable. The point is that at each stage of your life, you are going to go through major changes and transitions. Don't be surprised, shocked, or disappointed. Instead, expect these changes as inevitable. This dramatically lowers your stress levels and increases your ability to navigate these changes in a positive and constructive way. As business and management visionary Peter Drucker wrote, "The very best way to predict the future is to create it." There is an essential skill called mental preparation you can learn that will enable you to master change throughout your life. In mental preparation, you relax and visualize yourself experiencing changes sometime in the future. In your mind's eye, you see yourself responding to these changes in a calm, positive, and constructive way. Instead of reacting or overreacting when things don't work out the way you expect, you accept the inevitable changes as a normal and natural part of adult life. By acknowledging and preparing yourself for change, knowing that it is inevitable, you can savor each precious moment with the knowledge that it soon will evolve into something else. By pausing and taking in a special moment or happy time in your life, you both acknowledge that it will change and prepare to let go of it. When you do this, you will move easily through life's changes rather than getting stuck and resisting the inevitable. Anticipate it. One of the most powerful thinking tools you can develop is called extrapolatory thinking. This requires that you look down the road of life and think about all the things that could possibly happen. Practice crisis anticipation. Make a list of the worst things that could happen in your personal and business lives. Think about possible death, injury, financial reversals, bankruptcy, and unexpected events that could derail your most cherished hopes, dreams, and plans. In thinking ahead and identifying the worst things that could happen, imagine what you could do to deal with those events should they occur. What steps could you take today to guard against those negative events? Of all the things you could do, what should you do first? Some large companies practice what is called scenario planning. They look at every aspect of their business and imagine the different things that could happen nationally and internationally that could disrupt their business in any way. They then develop scenarios or complete plans of action to deal with those negative events if they were to occur. By practicing extrapolatory thinking, crisis anticipation, and scenario planning, you can dramatically lower your stress levels and increase your effectiveness by anticipating the many things that could happen and then creating plans to deal with them. Develop long-term perspective. The late political scientist Dr. Edward Banfield of Harvard University determined through 50 years of research that the most successful people in our society had what he called long-term perspective. They made a habit of looking far into the future, 10 or 20 years out, and imagining what could possibly happen at that time. They then determined what steps they could take in the present to assure that their long-term goals came true and that the negative things that could happen did not occur. One of the major causes of stress, anxiety, and worry has to do with money. Many people are undisciplined regarding their money, and as a result, they spend it all each month and a little more besides. Millions of people end up declaring personal bankruptcy every year because of a failure to think ahead financially. Plan your financial affairs. One of the actions you can take to improve the quality of your life is to plan every aspect of your financial affairs in detail. Develop a plan for financial accumulation and follow it. Spend less than you earn and save or invest the balance. Build up cash reserves so that you are prepared for any sudden reversal. As a business owner or executive, make a habit of thinking long-term. Look into the future of your business and anticipate the changes and trends that could affect your sales and profitability. Rather than allowing yourself to be surprised by change, anticipate it and take action accordingly. Jack Welch, former CEO of General Electric, once said, "The reality principle is the most important principle of leadership. The reality means that you see the world as it really is, not as you wish it were." What skills, talents, and abilities will you personally and your company require to lead your industry in the years ahead? What products, services, and capabilities will you and your company need to continue to grow in sales and profitability? What customers will you be serving in the future? And what will they be demanding from you that is different from today? Especially, who will your competition be in the future? And what is your plan to succeed against them? Develop more options. One of the great rules for success is you are only as free as your well-developed options. The more options you have, the greater freedom you have. The more options you develop by upgrading your skills, broadening your product or service lines, and anticipating the worst things that could happen, the greater control you have over your personal and business destiny. Remember, hope is not an option. Wishing is not an option. Expecting that everything will work out for the best is not an option either. Only a clearly written, thought-through plan of action gives you the kind of options you need to anticipate change and then to master it on a regular basis. Look ahead. If your business collapsed, your job disappeared, your income vanished, and all your assets were gone, what would you do then? Because of unexpected changes in information, technology, and competition, these setbacks happen to large numbers of people every year. The ones who survive and thrive are those who anticipate these possibilities and make provision against them. Assume that they will be in a completely new field, in new career, in a new industry, dans another job, in 5 years. What new skills, knowledge, abilities will you need at that time to be able to provide for yourself and assure a high standard of living? It is amazing how many people are unhappy, frustrated, and stuck because they never took the time to sit down and anticipate the inevitable changes that will sweep over them in the future. Don't let this happen to you. Prepare for it. The mark of the superior person and the true professional in any field is preparation. Top people do their homework and are thoroughly prepared for whatever might happen. The time to take a first aid course is well before the accident. The time to develop a new skill is before you need it. It is too late to begin thinking about preparing or developing a new skill after you have been bowled over by the unexpected wave of change. One of the qualities of top people is that they practice future orientation most of the time. Future orientation is the mark of leaders and the top thinkers in our society. They think well ahead, down the road of life, and imagine what they will have to do to prepare for that future. Imagine a magic wand, practice the magic wand exercise. As you think into the future, imagine that you could wave a magic wand and make your life perfect in the following 4 critical areas that determine most of your happiness or unhappiness. Exercise. Take out a notebook and answer the following questions. Pay attention to your internal dialogue and apply the concepts you've learned from earlier chapters. 1. If your job, business, and income were ideal in 5 years, what would they look like? How would they be different from today? 2. If your family, relationships, home, and lifestyle were perfect in 5 years, what would they look like? And how would they be different from today? 3. If your level of health and fitness were perfect in 5 years, how would you look and feel? How much would you weigh? How much would you exercise each day? What foods would you eat? And especially, how would you be different from today? 4. Finally, if your financial situation were perfect in 5 years, how much would you have in the bank and how much passive income would you be earning each month and each year? Practice idealization. One of the most important behaviors of top people is idealization. In idealizing, you create a vision of a perfect future for yourself in every area of your life. You practice no-limit thinking. You imagine that you have all the time and money, all the friends and contacts, all the education and experience, and all the talents and abilities that you could possibly need in order to be, have, or do anything. If this were your situation, what would you really want to do with your life? When you combine idealization with the magic wand exercise, you liberate your mind from the constraints of day-to-day work and bill paying. You practice what is called blue sky thinking, a hallmark of top people and peak performers in every area. You imagine that you have the whole blue sky above you and no limits except for your own imagination. A word from Christina. Often, when I spend time with my husband and we're trying to decide what to do with our day, I ask him, "Honey, if this were your perfect day, what would you do with it?" I then tell him what my perfect day would look like, and we find a way to combine the elements of each of our 2 perfect days. What do you have to do, starting today, to begin creating the ideal future that you desire? Peter Drucker said, "People vastly overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they vastly underestimate what they can do in 5 years." Plan for your future. There is a 6P formula for success in life. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. There are no guarantees in life, but you can dramatically increase the likelihood that you will create a wonderful life for yourself by deciding what that wonderful life would look like and then preparing every detail thoroughly in advance. One of the most important parts of preparation has to do with your level of knowledge and skill. Perhaps the greatest time saver of all is to get better at the most important things you do. The better you get at your key tasks, the greater will be the results and rewards you achieve in less time. As a result, you will get paid more and promoted faster than in any other way. Earlier, we talked about the importance of accepting responsibility for every part of your life. There is perhaps no area that is more important than your accepting responsibility for preparing yourself for the kind of future that you desire. Don't trust to luck. Things work out well only for people who make them work out well because they prepare thoroughly in advance. Whatever changes you are likely to experience in the months and years ahead, the more thoroughly you prepare, the calmer and more effective you will be. Your stress levels will be greatly reduced, and your levels of optimism and happiness will be greatly increased. A word from Christina. As a mother and a professional, I know that the difference between having a smooth, effective day and a chaotic, stressful one comes down to planning the day and organizing accordingly. At the beginning of the week, I sit down for an hour and plan out the whole week in my planner. My favorite is Planner Pad. There is something calming and organizing about writing things down. I check every day and add new items if necessary. This keeps me grounded and far more effective with my time than if I hadn't planned out the week in advance. I've encouraged my friends and clients to practice this simple activity, and they all tell me what an amazing difference it makes. It gives them a tremendous sense of control. Analyze it. Many negative emotions are triggered by an inappropriate overreaction to an unexpected setback or difficulty. It is vital that you carefully analyze a problem when it occurs to assure that you thoroughly understand it and to determine what you can do to deal with it or resolve it. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, the psychiatrist who specialized in helping people deal with a death in the family, outlined several stages that people go through upon learning about the death of someone who is close to them. She found that people have to progress through these natural stages to reach the other side, where they can be at peace and get on with the rest of their lives. When you deal with major life disruptions, you go through these same stages. The only question is how quickly you get through them and get back to normal. The more thoughtfully you analyze the changes that are taking place, the faster you master them and take control of your emotions and your behavior. 6 stages of grief. Note Kubler-Ross's theory covers the first 5 stages. We added the 6th. Stage 1, denial, the first reaction to a sudden reversal or traumatic experience is to think, this can't be happening, or this cannot have happened. Even when faced with the reality of the event, many people immerse themselves in denial long after it is clear that the negative situation has occurred. You see this continually with major business reversals and career or marriage setbacks. Stage 2, anger. The natural tendency of most people is to lash out and blame someone else or themselves when something negative and unexpected happens. They justify, rationalize, and try to convince themselves that this shouldn't have happened and someone is to blame. Stage 3, bargaining. The individual negotiates with herself and others to minimize her role or responsibility in the event or to diminish the severity of what has happened. Stage 4, depression. At this point, the individual realizes that the situation has occurred and it cannot be changed. The person has died, the money is lost, the career or marriage has ended, and there is nothing that she can do about it. She feels helpless, passive, and very much like a victim. Stage 5, acceptance. Finally, the individual gets control of herself and her emotions and accepts that what has happened is unchangeable and is now a fact that can't be altered. She pulls herself together and begins thinking about the future. Stage 6, resurgence. The individual gets up, gets going, and gets busy, taking action to deal with the new reality. She takes control of her life and emotions, feels positive and optimistic, and begins moving ahead. The most important question regarding any major setback or disappointment in life is how long does it take you to move completely through the negative experience from denial to resurgence? Some people take days or weeks, some take months or years. Some people never recover. The power of asking questions. One of the ways that you can take control of a negative situation is by analyzing it carefully. You do this by asking the following questions. It is not possible to remain upset, angry, and out of control while you're asking questions and seeking to understand the change that has taken place. What exactly has happened? At this stage, strive for accuracy. Refuse to attack or blame someone or something else for what has occurred. Focus on clarity and understanding. How did it happen? Imagine that you are gathering evidence for a third party. You are more concerned with accuracy than with recrimination. Ask follow-up questions so that you thoroughly understand the details. What can be done? Take control of your thinking by focusing on the future, on what can be done, rather than what has happened, which cannot be changed. This makes you more positive and puts you in control of the situation. What actions do I take now? Instead of worrying or wallowing in self-pity or remorse, get busy taking whatever actions you can to resolve the situation and move forward. Exercise. Think of a recent setback or negative experience you have had and apply these 4 questions. Notice how going through the process of asking and answering these questions changes your experience of the situation. Seek first to understand. Stephen R. Covey, best-selling author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said, "Seek first to understand, then to be understood." Focus on asking questions to keep yourself calm and your mind clear. Avoid the tendency to catastrophize, thinking or assuming the very worst in a difficult situation. Most situations are not as bad as they first appear. And very often what has happened cannot be changed in any case. Avoid the natural inclination to confuse correlation with causation. One of the biggest thinking mistakes that people make is jumping to conclusions. When 2 events happen at the same time, many people immediately assume that one event caused the other. In most cases, however, the 2 events happening together are merely a coincidence. Neither of the events has anything to do with the other. The key to analyzing a situation, to keeping yourself calm and in control, is to continue to ask questions and gather information. Sometimes, what appeared to be a major setback or problem turns out not to be as serious as you thought. It may even be an opportunity. Take advantage of it. When you experience a major reversal in life, immediately change your language from problem and instead use the word situation, challenge, or opportunity. Many of the best experiences of your life will initially appear as a setback or difficulty. Your job is to turn it to your advantage if you can. Clement Stone, a self-made multimillionaire, was famous for responding to every problem with, "That's good." He would then encourage everyone to look into the situation to find something good about it, and they always did. Look for the good in every difficulty you face in your life. Continually imagine that each contains a benefit or advantage that you can use. Seek the valuable lesson. Imagine that the universe is trying to teach you a lesson that will help you to be happier and more successful in the future. What could it be? Self-made millionaires. The average self-made millionaire in America has been broke or nearly broke 2.3 times before finally becoming wealthy. But the reason that these people became millionaires was because of the lessons they learned from their earlier mistakes. If they had not failed in business at an earlier age, they would never have developed the knowledge and wisdom necessary to succeed later. The bankruptcy or business failure was traumatic at the time, but it contained the seeds of future wealth. Finding the ideal person, many people go through a bad marriage or relationship. It ends with anger, bitterness, and negative feelings. Later on, that same person meets the ideal mate, settles down, and is happy for the rest of his or her life. In retrospect, many happily married people look back at a negative relationship as having been essential for them to recognize the right relationship when it came along. They realize that if they had stayed in that bad relationship, they would have been miserable for months or even years. It seems that, as I've said before on many occasions, problems come not to obstruct, but to instruct. How people learn as it happens, humans learn only from suffering. They learn only from pain. This is inevitable, but what is really dumb is if people experience the pain but then fail to identify the lesson that goes with it. This just makes it far more likely that they will make the same mistake again. This especially applies to people and the way they treat their health. Often people won't invest much time and effort in taking care of themselves until they are diagnosed with an illness or suffer from chronic pain. Neutralize the negative emotion since change is inevitable. Whenever you have a reversal of any kind, you can neutralize your feelings toward it by saying, "I see the angel of God in every change." Look upon change as a blessing containing ideas, insights, and advantages that you can use to go on to create an even more wonderful life in the future. Resistance of any kind is a major source of stress, negativity, and even depression. The opposite of resistance is acceptance that a change has taken place in your life and then moving on. It is said that whatever you resist persists. Practice acceptance. One of the great rules for success is to accept things that have happened and that you cannot change. Accepting a fact as a reality is the first step to taking charge of yourself and your emotions, and then moving on to something higher and better. The inability to get over a bad experience is a major block that holds people back, often for many years. One of the marks of superiority is accepting that you are not perfect, that you make mistakes, and that you have made bad choices and decisions in the past, which have led to bad results and consequences. Mistakes are what make us human. Have no regrets. A psychiatrist with 25 years of experience once said that the most common words he ever heard at the beginning of a period of emotional counseling were, "if only." People told stories of their suffering, tragedies, and reasons for their unhappiness, beginning with the words, "if only." They said, "If only I had not taken that action, made that decision, accepted that job, invested in that company, or married that person." It is sad how often regret over mistakes we have made in the past hold us back from taking advantage of the opportunities of the future. One of the great secrets of success is to eliminate the phrase "if only" from your vocabulary. Never say those words again. Accept that whatever happened, happened. Perhaps in retrospect it was unfortunate, but in any case, it is over and done with. It is a part of the past. It is a fact. It cannot be changed. Stop thinking that you are special or chosen in some way, or that undesirable changes are not going to take place in your life and work. When they do occur, accept responsibility, focus on the future, and get busy solving your problems and achieving your goals. The great discovery: you become what you think about most of the time. Most of the time, successful, happy people think about what they want and how to get it. Unsuccessful, unhappy people think about what they don't want, especially things that occurred in the past and who is to blame for their problems. William James said, "The first step in dealing with any problem in life is to be willing to have it so." Tell yourself, what cannot be cured must be endured. Remind yourself that you are not a victim. You are a proud, confident, self-reliant person in complete charge of your life and your future. Refuse to wallow in regret or remorse about things and changes that have happened that you cannot control or have any effect on. Fear of loss. The first major motivation in life is the desire for gain. The second major motivation is the fear of loss. As it happens, people fear loss 2.5 times more intensely than they desire gain. They may be motivated to a certain degree to achieve gain, but they are absolutely devastated when they suffer a loss or even think about losing something. If you've ever had a happy relationship, a good job, or a stable financial situation and you have lost it for any reason, you can find yourself immersed in grief and regret, often for many months or years. To bounce back from a reversal, it is important to remind yourself that you were okay before you had the job or relationship, and you will be okay again in the future without it. The solution is to accept the reality of the situation, whatever it is. Refuse to resist or fight against it. Stop feeling sorry for yourself and telling yourself that if only you had done something different, this unfortunate event would not have happened. Sunk costs in accounting. There are a series of costs that are taken into consideration on the balance sheet. One of them is called a sunk cost, defined as an amount of money that has been spent and that now is gone forever. In a business, this can include advertising that does not induce customers to buy a product, producing goods that do not sell, or any expenditure from which there is no future benefit. The money is gone. Very often in life, you have sunk costs as well. You can invest enormous sums of time, money, and emotion in people, jobs, and investments. But unexpected setbacks and difficulties occur, and your investment turns out to have been wasted. Instead of throwing good money after bad, investing more time and emotion in a bad relationship, or spending more time on something that obviously has no chance of success, you must accept that it is a sunk cost and resolve to let it go. When you develop the strength of character to say things like, "I was wrong, I made a mistake, I've changed my mind," you find that it is much easier to let go of unfortunate events that have occurred and simply accept them as a normal and natural part of your personal growth and development. Take responsibility for it. Perhaps the greatest source of personal power is to deal with the change by accepting 100% responsibility for everything that has happened. This allows you to take control of yourself and your emotions, and often the situation itself. A major cause of the negative emotions that hold you back is the anger, fear, resentment, envy, and jealousy that accompany an unhappy experience. Each of these emotions depends for its existence on blaming either yourself or someone else. As you know by now, when you stop blaming others and accept complete responsibility, all your negative emotions stop, as if shut off like a light. Think about the solution. One of the ways to take responsibility for a change or problem in your life is to become intensely solution-oriented. When most people experience reversals and failures, they immediately lash out and look for someone to blame, someone who is at fault. Instead, you resolve from this day forward to focus on the solution rather than the problem. First of all, refuse to make excuses. A fully functioning person is non-defensive. If he has made a mistake, he admits it and focuses all his energy on minimizing or resolving the mistake. Refuse to criticize anybody for anything. Criticism is something that a child learns by being criticized from a young age. Many children grow up to be extremely critical of others for whatever they do or fail to do. Criticizing others is actually a sign of weakness on your part. It wastes your time and stops you from dealing with the situation and finding a solution. Refuse to complain about your situation or about anything else. As Henry Ford II once said, never complain, never explain. If you are not happy about the situation, do something to resolve it. If you cannot change it, resolve to accept it. But never complain. When you criticize or complain, it makes you weak and ineffective. You position yourself as a victim, a passive person who has little or no control of yourself or your life. People who criticize and complain are always negative and unhappy. They have ongoing feelings of inferiority and unworthiness. They get into a downward spiral that makes them weak and unpleasant people. Think about next time. One of the keys to taking responsibility for any situation is to use the phrase next time. Focus on the future rather than the past. When you have a difficulty or problem, say, next time this occurs, why don't we? You can say, in the future, I will. Especially if you are a parent or a boss and your children or staff drop the ball and disappoint you, remember that you are the person in charge. You must step up, accept responsibility, and focus on the solution rather than the problem. Keep saying to yourself, I am responsible. As soon as you accept responsibility for a problem or situation, your mind becomes calm and clear, and you take complete control. You think with greater clarity, act with greater confidence, and make better decisions. By accepting responsibility for unexpected changes and difficulties, you become a leader in your family, your organization, and your life. Adapt and adjust to it, Charles Darwin wrote. Survival goes not necessarily to the strongest or the most intelligent of the species, but to the one most adaptable to change. Your ability to recognize, accept, anticipate, and adapt to change is the mark of a superior mind and a positive personality. The more rapidly you recognize that a change has taken place and is now irrevocable, the faster you can begin adjusting to the change and taking advantage of it. Because of the accelerating rate of change in information, technology, and competition, each of them building and magnifying the effects of the others, you must be continually calling a time out to address the new realities of the current situation. Each time a change takes place in your life or work, and especially when you experience resistance or frustration trying to do things the same old way, take time to rethink your situation. Mentally cut yourself free from the past. Think about who you are and what you want within the context of the new circumstances. Reevaluate your situation to be sure that what you are doing is still consistent with your long-term goals and ambitions. Sometimes when you experience setbacks, difficulties, and resistance, it is an indication that you are on the wrong track, that you are attempting to do something that may not be the best choice for you. Avoid the comfort zone. Sir Isaac Newton's first law of motion states, in part, that a body at rest will remain at rest unless acted on by an unbalanced force. This is the law of inertia. In personal life, it explains the principle of the comfort zone. People become comfortable in a particular situation, even if it is not working out or is not the best for them. They then resist any information or feedback that suggests that perhaps they are on the wrong track. When you take the time to reevaluate your situation based on the current reality, you often see the necessity of doing something different. You must always remain open to the necessity of change. Be prepared to reorganize your life as well. The natural tendency of most people is to get into fixed routines and do things the same way over and over again until it becomes a habit. People establish rituals in their personal and business lives that they follow unthinkingly, even if these rituals or habits are no longer the best ways of living or dealing with a particular relationship or situation. Exercise. What areas of your life could you reorganize to help your life to flow more smoothly and more in harmony with what you really want? What should you be doing more of or less of? What should you start doing or stop doing altogether? Restructure your life. Be prepared to restructure your life in each area, especially with regard to your family and your work. In restructuring, you apply the 80/20th rule, which says that 80% of your results comes from 20% of your activities. When you restructure your life, you focus more time and attention on the 20% of things you do that give you the very best results in terms of financial success and personal satisfaction. When you look at your business life, you will find that 20% of your activities accounts for 80% of your results and 80% of your hopes and dreams for promotion and higher pay. At home, you'll discover that 20% of the things you do gives you 80% of your happiness and satisfaction in your personal life and with your family. In restructuring, you focus more and more of your time on those activities that give you the greatest personal and career payoffs. Look for ways to continually re-engineer your life and work. Re-engineering is another word for simplification. When you practice re-engineering in your life, you look for ways to do things more simply and easily. Sometimes you can re-engineer your life by reducing or even eliminating activities that have become habits, but that no longer contribute as much to your life or work as other activities could. You can delegate low or no value tasks to others, thereby freeing up your time to do more of the things that give you the greatest results and satisfaction. You can outsource tasks such as house cleaning, lawn maintenance, laundry, and even meal preparation to people who specialize in those areas and who can often do them faster, more easily, better, and more cheaply than you can. Whenever you feel overwhelmed with too much to do and too little time, which can cause you tremendous amounts of stress, stand back and look at your life and think about how you could re-engineer and simplify it in every area. Reinvent your life. Practice reinvention on a regular basis. You reinvent your life when you imagine yourself starting over today in light of the current situation. For example, imagine that your job or industry disappeared overnight and you had to begin a new job or career. Exercise. Imagine that you had no limitations. If you were starting over, what job would you want to do? Where would you want to work? How much would you want to earn? If you could do anything at all, what would you choose to do? If you were financially independent, how would you change your current life? You should think about reinventing yourself every 6 to 12 months throughout your life in order to respond effectively to the unstoppable rate of change. Regain control. You regain control when you rethink, reevaluate, reorganize, restructure, re-engineer, and reinvent your life. You free yourself from the baggage of the past and instead concentrate on the possibilities of the future. You feel a tremendous sense of personal power and confidence. You put yourself in charge of your life rather than allowing your life to be determined by the decisions of the past or the pressures of the present. Finally, you engage in resurgence. This is when you counterattack the frustrations and stresses in your life. You take action boldly in the direction of your dreams and goals. You sit in the driver's seat of your own life, put your hands on the wheel, and decide your own direction. Become action-oriented. The natural tendency of most people, when they are faced with rapid change or unexpected reversals, is to feel stunned and to become passive. They feel frustrated and unable to move. They stop and wait, hoping and expecting that someone or something else will come along to get them unstuck. But all successful people are intensely action-oriented. They think in terms of what they can do rather than waiting for someone else to come along and take care of them or the situation. They develop a sense of urgency and a bias for action. They keep moving forward. And in moving forward, just as in skiing, the faster you move, the greater control you have. Respond to it. As previously mentioned, your life will be a continuous series of problems and crises. By their very nature, crises come unbidden and unexpected. The only part of a crisis that you can control is your response to it. Do you stand up to your problems and take positive action, or do you let them overwhelm you? Nobel Prize-winning author and historian Arnold Toynbee studied the rise and fall of civilizations through the ages. Based on his work, he developed the challenge and response theory of history. He found that each civilization began as a small tribe or group of people that was faced with a challenge or a confrontation that threatened its very survival. In response, the group reorganized itself to confront and deal with the challenge effectively. As a result, it survived and grew larger, but each growth triggered even greater challenges from external forces, usually hostile tribes or armies. With each step forward, the group would be faced with an even greater challenge, to which it would have to respond effectively to continue to survive and thrive. Challenge and response, the 27 great civilizations of history, each began with a single tribe. In the case of the Mongols, who built the largest empire in world history, It began with 3 people. What Toynbee concluded was that a civilization would continue to grow as long as it responded effectively to the inevitable challenges that it faced in the process of growth, especially in competition with other civilizations, nations, and tribes. In your life, it is the same. Every challenge you face requires that you respond, either effectively or ineffectively. When you respond effectively, you grow as a person in knowledge, wisdom, and skill. This new growth inevitably triggers another challenge of some kind, to which you must also respond effectively. This process goes on and on throughout your life. The only part of the challenge and response theory that you can control is your response to the inevitable ups and downs of life. By resolving in advance that you will respond effectively, you mentally prepare yourself to deal with anything the world throws at you. As Nietzsche wrote, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." Your level of responsibility in the face of the inevitable challenges of personal and business lives is the true measure of your character and skill. Leaders are those who respond effectively over and over again, and as a result are given ever greater challenges to respond to. Look upon everything that happens to you as a challenge, something that you can rise to, and in so doing, become better and stronger as a person. The better and stronger you become, the happier and more successful you will be in every area of your life. Embrace change as progress from this day forward. Welcome change as the key to progress. It is not possible to grow, mature, and realize everything you are capable of without a continual amount of turbulence and disruption in your life. Change your vocabulary. Replace the word change with the word improvement. Every change contains within it an opportunity for you to improve the quality of your life and work. Is the glass half full or half empty? The optimist is always looking for the good and how she can benefit from a change in conditions rather than feeling sorry for herself and lashing out at those she feels are responsible. As an exercise, assume that you are being guided by a great power and that all change in your life is aimed at helping you to be happier and more successful in the future. This attitude makes you a more positive person. In our seminars, we tell people that when they set a big new goal for themselves, their lives will often go into a period of disruption. Someone may set a goal to double his income and suddenly find himself laid off or fired the following week. Later, he finds a new job, and in that job, he gets an opportunity to earn twice as much as ever before. In retrospect, he realizes that if he had not been fired, he would have stayed by the law of inertia in the old job indefinitely. He concludes that getting fired is God's way of telling him that he was in the wrong job in the first place. When a relationship does not work out, imagine that it is part of a great plan to make you happier and more successful in the future. Losing a relationship or marriage is probably God's way of telling you that you were in the wrong situation to start with. Instead of becoming angry and frustrated and blaming other people for the change, assume that it is all part of a great plan to move you upward and onward to the fulfillment of your potential. Many of our greatest changes and disruptions in life do not look like something good when we first experience them. But as you adapt, adjust, and respond effectively to the change, it can often be exactly what you need to become more and more of what you are truly capable of becoming. Chapter 6. The people in your life. You will find as you look back upon your life that the moments that stand out, the moments that you have really lived, are the moments that you have done things in a spirit of love. Henry Drummond. Everyone wants to be happy. Your ability to build and maintain long-term, loving, happy relationships with other people is central to your happiness, your health, and everything you accomplish in life. Sometimes I begin a seminar by asking, who is the most important person in this room? People shout out different answers, you, or the boss. And finally, some people say, me. At that point, I say, you're right. You are the most important person in this room. You are the most important person in your entire life. The entire world revolves around how you think and feel about it. The quality of your life, you are important. And how important and valuable you think you are largely determines the quality of your life. Virtually all of your problems in life, personally, professionally, and politically, stem from people who do not consider themselves to be particularly valuable, important, or significant. Personal and social problems, personality defects, crime, antisocial behavior, and even international problems are all rooted in a feeling of not being important, not being good enough. People who like themselves and consider themselves to be valuable and worthwhile people have high levels of self-esteem and self-respect. The more you like and respect yourself, the more you like and respect others, and the more they like and respect you right back. How much you like yourself. It has been said that everything we do in life is either to gain self-esteem or to protect our self-esteem from being damaged. Your level of self-esteem, how important you feel you are, determines the quality of your inner and outer lives. Most of your happiness and success will be determined by your relationships with other people, both at home and in the world around you. How well you get along with others largely determines the quality of your marriage and your parenting, your level of pay and promotion, and your success in life and your career. The more positive you are as a person, the more people want to hire you, promote you, buy from you, socialize with you, date you, marry you, and be around you. High self-esteem parents raise high self-esteem children. High self-esteem bosses create high self-esteem, high-performance workplaces. People with high self-esteem are the most liked and desirable people in your world. Make others feel important. The key to success in human relationships is simple. Make others feel important. Build their self-esteem at every opportunity. Everything you do or say to make other people feel important raises their self-esteem and sense of personal value. When you make people feel important, they like and respect themselves more. They like and respect you more as well, and are open to being guided, directed, and influenced by you. Daniel Goleman, author of Emotional Intelligence, was interviewed in Fortune magazine once and was asked, "What is the most important single quality of emotional intelligence?" He replied, "Of all qualities, your level of persuasiveness is the very best measure of how fully integrated you have become. The height of your self-esteem largely determines your level of persuasiveness and how much influence you have on others. How much you like yourself largely determines how important you make other people feel when they are around you. You've heard the saying, 'I do not love you for who you are, but for how you make me feel about myself when I am with you.' When people feel valuable and respected in your presence, you become a persuasive and influential person. Maya Angelou, the poet, wrote, 'People will very soon forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel.' Build self-esteem in others. There are 5 behaviors you can practice to build self-esteem in other people, make them feel important, and cause them to like you and want to help and cooperate with you. Each of these 5 behaviors begins with the letter A. 1. Acceptance. The root of self-esteem is self-acceptance. The amount that people accept themselves is largely determined by how completely they feel accepted by the people around them. The need for acceptance lies at the root of many behaviors, both personal and political. People cry out to be accepted just as they are, on their own terms. They often respond with anger and frustration when others reject them for any reason. For example, the critical point in the book and movie Bridget Jones's Diary is when she meets a man who likes her just the way she is. All of her friends are astonished. They cannot believe that there is actually a man out there who would like a woman just the way she is. When you like and accept people as they are, you appeal to one of the deepest emotions in human nature, the desire for unconditional acceptance by other people. And how do you express acceptance? Simple. You just smile. There's an old saying that it takes more muscles to frown than to smile. When you smile at another person, you simultaneously acknowledge her value, approve of her appearance, and express your enjoyment at being in her company. When you smile at another person, she feels more valuable and important, and her self-esteem goes up. Sometimes a smile can be so powerful that it changes a person's state of mind, attracts her irresistibly to another person, and often leads to people getting married and settling down happily for the rest of the best news of all, everything you do to raise the self-esteem of someone else raises your own self-esteem as well. In the Bible it says, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." In other words, what this means is that you get more personal pleasure and satisfaction out of giving of yourself and accepting others than they receive. When you go through your day doing and saying things that make people feel more valuable and important, you feel more valuable and important yourself. Similarly, anything you do or say that hurts or reduces the self-esteem of another person also hurts and reduces your self-esteem. If you become negative or angry toward another person, you feel negative and angry toward yourself at the same time. The more kindness and warmth you express to another, the more kindness and warmth you have for yourself. 2. Appreciation. Each person has a deep inner need to be appreciated for who he is and what he does. Whenever you express appreciation to another person for any reason at all, his self-esteem immediately goes up. He likes himself more, And as a result, he likes you even more because it is you who are generating this feeling in him. For example, I had a friend in college who received a Valentine's gift from his girlfriend that made such an impact on him, he couldn't help but tell everyone. I have never forgotten how she did it. She sat down and made a list of 100 reasons why she loved him. Imagine getting a list from someone important to you telling you 100 reasons why you are important to him or her. It may change your life forever. And how do you express appreciation? Simple. You say thank you on every occasion. This phrase seems to exert a magical effect on other people. Whenever you thank and appreciate a person, she feels more valuable. She feels that what she is doing is better and of a higher quality. The more you thank people, the more likely they are to do higher quality work. The more you thank people, the more motivated they are to do the same things that cause you to thank them in the first place. Over the years, I have traveled in more than 120 countries. The first words I always learn when I go to a new country are please and thank you. You can get by anywhere in the world by saying please and thank you on every occasion. Doors will open for you, people will help you, and everyone will smooth your way. In your family and in your work, continually smile and say please and thank you on every occasion, even if there is no reason. Whenever I talk to someone in my business, I end the conversation with a thank you. In a way, I am thanking people just for being alive. And people always respond positively and warmly when you express appreciation to them and for them. Exercise, give your significant other or some other important person in your life a list of 10 things you appreciate about him or her. 3. Admiration. Abraham Lincoln said, everybody likes a compliment. Whenever you compliment another person for anything, his self-esteem goes up and his self-respect increases. He feels happy about himself and happier about being in your presence. The more specifically you admire something in the life, work, or personality of another person, the greater the impact it has on his feelings about himself. People are very proud of the traits that they have developed over the course of their lives, sometimes with great effort and discipline. They are always flattered when somebody notices a particular trait that they have invested so much time and effort in developing. Examples: you are very punctual. You are highly disciplined. You are a good listener. You can compliment people on their surroundings. This is a beautiful office, or this is a lovely living room. People invest a lot of time and thought in their surroundings, and they are always flattered when you notice and compliment them. You can compliment people on their personal possessions or clothing. That is a great-looking briefcase. That's a beautiful purse. That suit looks good on you, or that dress fits you perfectly. As long as your compliment is genuine, people will immediately feel happier and more important when they receive a compliment from almost anyone for almost any reason. 4. Approval. It is said that children cry for it and grown men die for it. One of the definitions of self-esteem is the degree to which a person feels himself to be praiseworthy. Praise satisfies one of the deepest cravings of human nature. Whenever you praise a person for anything, large or small, you immediately raise her self-esteem and increase her sense of personal value and importance. In business, approval and recognition go hand in hand. Whatever you approve of and recognize in another person, you will get more of. The more you approve of the behavior of a person in a particular area, the more she will repeat that behavior so she can get even more approval and recognition in the future. The use of continual approval is a wonderful way to build habitual behaviors in others, both adults and children, that are helpful both to them and to you. When it comes to less desirable behaviors, if, instead of criticizing a person for poor performance, you simply ignore it, the poor performance will gradually stop. When you simultaneously give approval and recognition for an excellent job or performance, the person will be motivated to do more and more of the things for which she gets positive rewards, and fewer of those things for which she gets no comment at all. The key to approval is to make it specific and immediate. Instead of saying to your child, "You're a great kid," you can say, "You did an excellent job cleaning up your room this morning." Instead of saying to your secretary, "You're doing a wonderful job," you should say, "You typed out that report beautifully with no mistakes. You are really excellent at what you do." You will get more of whatever you approve. So approve specifically and approve as soon after the act as possible for maximum impact. Si la persona does a great job at the beginning of the month and you don't until the end of the month, it has a very little motivational power. All the impact of the approval will have been drained away by time. But when you praise a person immediately after he has done something positive or helpful, You dramatically reinforce the likelihood that he will repeat that behavior in the near future. Furthermore, when you praise people in front of others, you multiply the impact of that praise on their self-esteem and their subsequent behavior. Ken Blanchard, in his book The 1-Minute Manager, recommends that you catch people doing something right. When you praise people in front of others and even brag to others about the superior performance of the individual who is standing there, he or she usually feels flattered, embarrassed, and motivated all at the same time. When you praise a person in front of a group of people, you multiply the positive emotions that person will feel. You dramatically increase the likelihood that he or she will eagerly repeat that behavior in the future. You simultaneously motivate the others who are applauding to want to engage in that behavior themselves so that they can receive public and private praise and approval. A praise in private. If you must give feedback to a person because of poor performance of some kind, always do it privately, out of sight and earshot of other people. This dramatically reduces the negative impact of a performance appraisal and makes it more likely that the individual will listen to what you're saying and do better next time. Exercise: choose 3 people whom you rely on and tell them something they're doing well. Be sincere and specific. 5. Attention. One of the most powerful ways of telling people that they are important and raising their self-esteem is called listening. Effective people are good listeners. Popular people are good listeners. Leaders are listeners. Instead of talking all the time, the most liked and respected people are absolutely excellent at listening closely to others. Instead of talking, they ask questions. There seems to be a direct relationship between the number of questions you ask and how much people like and trust you. There's also a direct relationship between the number of questions you ask and the amount of time you can listen. And the more you listen to another person when he or she is speaking, the more that other person will like and trust you and is open to being influenced by you. 4 keys to effective listening. There are 4 keys to effective listening. 1. Listen attentively without interruptions. Lean forward and face the other person directly. Be an active listener. Nod, smile, and agree while the other person is speaking, and make no attempt whatsoever to interrupt or to comment on what she is saying. When a person is intently listened to by another, that person experiences measurable physiological changes. Her heart rate increases, her galvanic skin response goes up, and best of all, her brain releases endorphins, nature's happy drug, which gives the person speaking a feeling of importance, value, and self-esteem. 2. Pause before replying. Instead of jumping in with the first thing that comes to your mind, pause in silence after the person has finished expressing himself. Pausing has 3 advantages. First, you avoid the possibility of interrupting if the other person is just gathering his thoughts. Second, by pausing quietly, you tell the person that you are carefully considering what he has said because it is important to you. Listening tells the other person that his words are important and therefore he is important. Third, when you pause before replying and leave a silence in the conversation, you actually hear what the other person is saying at a deeper level. His words soak into your brain and you recognize nuances that you would have missed if you had immediately started speaking. Remember, it is not what is said so much as what is not said, or what is said between the lines, that contains the deeper meaning of the message the other person is attempting to convey. By pausing after the other person has spoken, you become a dramatically better listener. You actually hear better. 3. Question for clarification. Never assume that you know what the person meant by what he or she said. If there is any question in your mind at all, after the person has finished speaking and you have allowed a certain period of silence, you can ask, "How do you mean?" One of the most important rules in relationships is the person who asks questions tends to have control of the conversation. The person who asks the questions demonstrates a genuine interest in the other person. When you ask a sincere question or series of questions and listen intently to the answers, you guide the entire direction of the conversation. This builds greater trust between you and the other person. And the more you listen, the more the other person feels valuable and important. The more you listen, the higher is the self-esteem and self-respect of the person being listened to. Perhaps the most important rule in conversation is listening builds trust. There is no faster way to build a warm and trusting relationship in business or personal life than to ask sincere questions and then listen closely to the answers for as long as the other person wants to talk. 4. Paraphrase what the other person has said. Feed it back in your own words before you go on to speak yourself. Each person has a deep need to be understood by others. The way you clearly convey that you have understood both the words and the meaning of what the person has said is by rephrasing it in your own words and having him or her acknowledge that you have got the message. Before you comment or respond, stop for a moment and say, "Let me make sure I understand what you're saying or feeling. From what you just said, I get the impression that this is how you think and feel." When the other person says, "Yes, that's it, that's what I'm trying to say," only then do you respond with your point of view. Practice playing feedback. Feedback is an exercise that couples who argue a lot are taught to practice to improve their relationship. Here's how it works. When the partners begin arguing, they agree that they will play feedback in this argument. One person then has an opportunity to express her thoughts, feelings, and reasons for her unhappiness or dissatisfaction. But before the second person can reply, he must feed it back to the original speaker in his own words. The first speaker must listen attentively without interrupting, and after clarifying any misconceptions, finally say, "Yes, that's my point. That's how I think or feel on this issue." Only when the first person agrees and accepts the interpretation by the second person can he give his point of view on the situation. Then she has to feed that back to him to his satisfaction. This simple exercise dramatically reduces the arguments or disagreements that take place in many relationships. This is because it is almost impossible to argue slowly. When a couple is forced to slow down and feed back to the other person exactly what the other person has just said, most of the heat goes out of the argument. It is replaced by a sincere desire on the part of both people to understand each other. Practice makes permanent. You can practice the 5 A's of self-esteem building, of making people feel important in every interaction with others from the time you get up in the morning throughout your day and into the evening. Start with your family before you go to work. You can practice acceptance by smiling at people and showing them that you genuinely care about them and like them. You can express appreciation by saying thank you on every occasion for both small and large actions. You can express admiration on a regular basis for the things that people have or the qualities that they demonstrate. You can express approval by praising people on every occasion for large and small accomplishments. And you can pay attention by listening closely to others when they want to speak. Initially, the practice of these behaviors may require tremendous discipline on your part, especially if you have not been practicing them in the past. But, as Goethe said, everything is hard before it's easy. The more you deliberately practice raising the self-esteem of others and making them feel important, the more automatic and easy it will become, until it becomes a normal and natural part of your conversation. As you practice the 5 A's, your own self-esteem will go up as well. In no time at all, you will be getting along wonderfully with the important people in your life. Marriage and relationships. Marriage and intimate relationships are the most important, intense, and emotional relationships that you form in your life. Your ability to enter into a happy relationship with another person is a true measure of the quality of your personality. One of your great goals in life is to learn how to build and maintain a superior relationship with at least one other person. Although every relationship is different, all of them have certain essential elements in common. When you can identify the most common problem areas and resolve them, you can dramatically improve the happiness of your relationship with that other person. Elements in common, all relationships are based on certain key principles. When you can identify these principles and analyze them in terms of your own relationship, you can often find ways to dramatically increase your happiness and the happiness of the other person. Even though you read a lot about the divorce rate in our society, the fact is that about more than half of men and women marry one person and stay happily married to that person for the rest of their lives. Although there are a large number of divorces, they are usually concentrated among people who had difficult upbringings and strained relationships with their parents. They did not see or witness two people in love and happily married as they were growing up, and as a result, they often find it difficult as adults to form a happy marriage themselves. Many people who get married and divorced often get divorced 2 and 3 times, and even more. This dramatically inflates the divorce statistics. But in general, by practicing some of the principles of good relationships and removing some of the causes of bad ones, you can live happily for a long time with another person, perhaps for the rest of your life. There are 6 major problems that lead to unhappiness, frustration, and even the breakdown of the relationship. Once you remove these obstacles, your relationship will be much smoother than before. 1. Lack of commitment. For a relationship to be successful, both parties must be totally committed to it. There must be a 100% wholehearted decision to make this relationship succeed. In the absence of this total commitment, The relationship can start coming apart at the seams, especially under stress, which always occurs. One of the manifestations of a lack of commitment is shown in what is called the go-halfway relationship. This occurs when one or both parties decide that they will go only halfway toward making the relationship work. Many working couples marry and then carry on as if they are single people living together. They keep separate bank accounts. They divide the family expenses equally and keep careful notes on who has paid what amounts for things like rent, utilities, and telephone. A lack of commitment in a relationship is often manifested by a prenuptial agreement, protecting each party in case of a divorce, which almost always follows. When people enter into a prenuptial agreement, they are anticipating the failure of the relationship and making provisions for what they will do when they go their separate ways. This falls into the category of the self-fulfilling prophecy and is almost always realized. Lack of commitment is based on the fear of failure, the fear of making a mistake by marrying the wrong person, and regretting it afterward. Because of this fear of failure, learned in early childhood, the adult often holds back and gives only as much of him or herself as is necessary to keep the relationship going. A lack of commitment leads to feelings of insecurity, especially on the part of the other person. It is said that in many relationships, there is someone who loves more and someone who loves less. The person who loves more is always willing to put more of him or herself into the success of the marriage. The person who loves less continually withholds total commitment from the relationship, increasing the feelings of insecurity and inadequacy in the other person. Quando a persona è vittima del lack of commitment da parte dell'altro, che si manifesta in un continuo criticismo, tende a feel the piece inferior, inadequate, and not worthy of being completely loved. This creates tension, stress, arguments, depression, and even physical and mental illnesses. The solution for a lack of commitment is simple. Make a total commitment to the marriage from the first minute that you decide to get married. Put your whole heart into it. Hold nothing back. Combine all your resources as a single unit. Dedicate yourself to the success of this relationship above all else. A word from Christina. Damon and I decided early on in our relationship that we were committed 110% to each other. As in every relationship, we have hit some speed bumps along the way, but we both know that no matter what, we have committed to resolve whatever issue comes up. Neither of us ever doubts the other's total commitment. This creates tremendous security in our relationship. It provides lots of room for us to find ways to navigate our conflicts and to ensure that we enjoy mutual satisfaction and happiness in our marriage. Here are 2 important points. 1. If you cannot commit wholeheartedly to a marriage or a relationship, you should not enter into the relationship in the first place. 2. When you do make a total commitment to another person, you will often feel completely liberated. By giving up your freedom, you will actually gain a tremendous sense of freedom. You can let yourself go completely by totally dedicating yourself to one person. 2. Trying to change the other person or expecting him or her to change in some way. There's a saying used by farmers, never try to teach a pig to fly, for 2 reasons. First of all, no matter how hard you work, the pig is never going to fly. Second of all, it just irritates the pig. In emotional terms, trying to get someone else to change a fundamental behavior or characteristic is suggesting that the person is not good enough as she is. Instead of expressing unconditional acceptance of the other person, you are rejecting a fundamental part of her personality or behavior. When you try to change another person, you are attacking her sense of personal value and lowering her self-esteem. Because people cannot change even if they want to, trying to change another makes her feel frustrated and often trapped. The antidote to trying to change another person is complete acceptance of the person with all of her qualities, positive or negative, to love her just the way she is. The deepest need that human beings have is to be unconditionally accepted by the most important people in their lives, especially their partners. A word from Brian. After my wife and I had met and fallen in love, we moved in together. One day, she sat me down and asked me to tell her all the things about her that I didn't like so that she could start working on herself to change them. She wanted me to be happy in our relationship. After straining my mind for a while, I finally told her that I couldn't think of anything about her that I would change. I loved her completely, especially for her character and her personality. I was quite satisfied. There was nothing that I would want to change for any reason. Because of her upbringing and the criticism she had experienced in the past, she was very skeptical of my answer. She accused me of holding back. She said that I was not being sincere and honest with her. For several weeks, she would bring up this subject again and again and ask me to be honest with her and tell her what it was about her that I didn't like so that she could change it. I gave her the same answer every time. I couldn't think of anything about her that I didn't like. Finally, one day, a light went off in her mind. It suddenly dawned on her that I was telling the truth. She was absolutely amazed. She had gotten the idea that she had certain qualities that were not acceptable. She had a false belief that she had to let go of, and she did. We have been happy ever since. This is the way a happy marriage should be. Both parties should completely accept each other unconditionally, recognizing that no one is perfect, and neither asking nor expecting the other person to change. Jealousy. This is one of the worst of the negative emotions. It can cause tremendous unhappiness in the person experiencing the jealousy and in the person at whom it is directed. The feeling that no one could ever really love the jealous person completely is the root cause of this negative emotion. The propensity to experience jealousy comes from destructive criticism and lack of love in early childhood. The child grows up feeling that he is somehow inferior or inadequate. As an adult, he continually compares himself negatively to others. When the jealous person enters into a romantic attachment or relationship, he is plagued by a tremendous sense of insecurity and the feeling that the other person will find that he has fundamental flaws. The antidote to jealousy is high self-esteem. The more you like and respect yourself, the less concerned you are about the behaviors of the other person that would normally trigger feelings of jealousy. Your need is to realize and accept that you are a thoroughly good person and that your value is inherent. It has nothing to do with the opinion of another person about you. 4. Self-pity. Self-pity is usually a habit that you learn from one of your parents. Throughout your childhood, one of your parents continually talks about how bad she was treated in life and how hard her life has been as an adult. Alexander Pope wrote, "As the twig is bent, so is the tree inclined." The way your dominant parent, the parent you most identify with, thought, talked, and behaved when you were growing up, has an inordinate impact on the way you think, talk, and behave as an adult. Self-pity is often caused by a lack of goals, a lack of meaning and purpose in your personal life. When you have no clear sense of direction, and you feel that you are merely reacting and responding to other people's demands, it is easy to start to feel sorry for yourself. You can start to see yourself as a victim of circumstances rather than a victor over circumstances. The antidote to self-pity is simple. Get so busy working on your goals and doing things that are important to you that you don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. We will show you how to do this in the next chapter. Take this as an example. Ellen grew up listening to her mother talk about all the things she wished she could do. Ellen would ask her when she was going to do them, and her mother would always have a reason why she couldn't. She was too busy taking care of everyone else. Her mother's attitude of self-pity was very frustrating to her, and she believed her mother was making a choice. Ellen resolved at a young age that she would be different. As a result, she grew up committed to at least try to follow her dreams and pursue her passions. She refused to waste her life like her mother had. She did the opposite of what her mother had done. A true sense of self-esteem comes from what is called self-efficacy, the degree to which you feel that you are competent at what you do. When you do something well and complete it, your sense of self-efficacy jumps, and so does your self-esteem. You see and feel yourself as a more important and valuable person. The more you like yourself, the less you feel sorry for yourself. As you work on yourself and your goals, you soon reach the point where you feel terrific about yourself and all sense of self-pity disappears. 5. Negative expectations. This problem in marriage has its roots in early childhood, when you are the victim of the negative expectations of your parents. Whenever they criticized you and told you that you were not particularly good at something, you unconsciously began to expect to do poorly in that area. When you get married, you often have a series of expectations of how the other person should behave and how things should be in a marriage. If these expectations are not met, you feel frustrated and angry. You often lash out and demand that the other person change his behavior so that it is consistent with what you originally thought it was supposed to be. The antidote to negative expectations is to always expect the best from your mate. Tell your partner that you think he is a wonderful person and that he is competent, capable, and attractive. Since expectations will always be fulfilled, if you and your mate have high, positive expectations of each other, you will both strive to live up to those expectations in a positive way. 6. Incompatibility. This is perhaps the most common reason for failure in marriages and relationships. A marriage or relationship begins when two people are attracted to each other because they find each other compatible in some way, usually physically at the beginning, and then later. They find other areas that they have in common. When people are in their 20s, they grow and change at the most rapid rate of adult life. Many people who get married in their early 20s find that by their late 20s, they have become completely different people. They are no longer compatible. They no longer have very many things in common, except perhaps their children, if they've had any together. Often this can lead to marital conflict and unhappiness, if not separation and divorce. Laughing together, one of the best indicators that incompatibility has set in, is how little a couple laughs together anymore. The first thing that disappears when a relationship starts to sour is the laughter. The second thing that goes is conversation. Soon, out of habit and inertia, people find themselves sharing the same house, watching television together, but having very little in the way of meaningful interactions or connections with each other. The question you have to ask when you start to see signs of incompatibility in your relationship is this a fact or is it a problem? Of course, you should make every effort to find areas of commonality and to reawaken the original attraction that brought you together. But if the relationship has gone cold and you have become different people with little in common, you often have to accept that this is a fact you cannot change, not a problem you can attempt to solve. Exercise people change together or they change and grow apart. Having common goals, values, and appreciation keeps you growing together. To determine how compatible you and your partner are, grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down your answers to the following questions. What do you and your partner have in common? What things do you enjoy doing together? What sort of things do you talk about? The longer the list, the better your compatibility is. If incompatibility has set into your relationship, the practice of denial is very stressful. It can make you physically and mentally ill. It can lead to frustration, anger, arguing, and blowing up at each other for apparently no reason at all. The key to dealing with incompatibility is to accept that if it has occurred, no one is guilty. Both parties have done the very best they can. If incompatibility occurs, it is something that just happens, like aging or the weather, making yourself miserable. Many people make themselves miserable for long periods of time by allowing themselves to become angry at the person who has fallen out of love, or who has changed so much that the partners have little in common to share. But the other person is not bad, evil, or guilty. He or she is just no longer compatible with you. If incompatibility has set in, you should do everything you possibly can to save the relationship. Many times, going to a marriage counselor and talking about what brought you together originally can reignite the relationship. Going on a vacation with just the two of you for a few days can often rekindle the spark that brought you together in the first place. Taking a long trip in which you have many hours to talk can bring you back together again. Incompatibility can set in if you both get so busy with your work or family life that you don't take the time to communicate on a regular basis. As a result, you start to become interested in different things and grow apart. Whatever happens, listen to your heart. Make your decisions in your relationship solely based on what you feel is the right thing to do. If you're no longer compatible, accept it as a fact of life and deal with it in a mature fashion. Remember, it's not your fault. No one is to blame. No one is guilty. It just happens. One more point on problems with marriages or relationships. Remember the 99-1 rule. This says that people spend 99% of their time thinking about themselves and only 1% of their time thinking about everyone else in the world. For this reason, you should never stay in a relationship because you are concerned about what others might say or think about you if you broke it off. The fact is that no one is thinking about you at all. Successful relationships. There are 6 keys to successful relationships of all kinds. 1. Compatibility. You will always be happiest with someone who is similar to you in interests, tastes, and especially in values and attitudes. A good measure of compatibility is how you enjoy spending leisure time. People who are compatible enjoy the same leisure activities, and this is very important. No matter how good your sex life is, most of your life together will be spent in non-romantic activities such as reading, movies, travel, vacation, and sports. A couple I knew, friends in high school, got married in their early 20s. They were both young, but he liked staying at home in the evenings, reading, watching television, and playing with their children. She liked going out to nightclubs, dancing, socializing, and behaving as if she was still single. This conflict over leisure activities eventually led to the collapse of the marriage. Another sign of compatibility is that you feel comfortable and relaxed with the other person's ideas and opinions. In areas such as politics, religion, and attitudes toward family and friends, you are both quite similar. 2. Opposites attract. You have heard this said many times, but it is true only in the area of temperament. In all other areas, opposites cause conflict and lead to stress, disagreements, arguments, and unhappiness. In the area of temperament, two people of opposite dispositions are usually most attracted to each other. If he is outgoing, she will be more introverted. If he is emotional and opinionated, she will be calm and rational. They will balance each other. One of the ways to measure the compatibility in a relationship between two people is called the conversation test. It turns out that each person has a need to talk and a need to listen in different proportions. Some people have a high need to talk and to talk all the time. Other people are comfortable speaking very little and listening a lot. This type of couple would be quite compatible. A problem that arises very soon in a relationship is when both people like to talk a lot and are therefore frequently interrupting each other. There's continual competition over airtime. Either one or both parties feel frustrated because they do not get to satisfy their need to talk. The opposite can be equally bad. Neither is particularly talkative, creating long periods of uneasy silence between the two people. You sometimes see couples driving along or dining in restaurants and neither is talking. These people are too similar in temperament and are therefore not meant for each other. The true measure of compatibility in a relationship is that the temperaments are balanced, and both people get to talk all they want to talk and listen all they want to listen. In addition, there are comfortable silences in the relationship. The couple can sit or drive together quietly without either feeling uncomfortable or the need to speak all the time. 3. Total commitment. This is essential to happy relationships and perhaps the most important factor of all. It's well known that love is the total commitment to the development of the full potential of the other person. You can tell when you love another person when his or her happiness is a central concern of yours and the key to your own happiness as well. You are dedicated to making the other person happy most of the time. Or genuinely liking, not just loving each other. This is an important ingredient for successful relationships and marriages. People are initially drawn together by the emotions of love and passion. But in the course of a relationship, they can have heated arguments and disagreements. Because of this, it is essential that two people not only love each other, but also like each other. These are two separate issues. You can measure the quality of your relationship by what is called the best friend test. When you are in the right relationship with the right person, that person is your best friend. There is no one else in the world you would want to spend time with. There is no one in the world you would tell things to more freely and openly than your best friend. Many people say when they meet their ideal mate, I finally found my best friend. Sometimes people refer to this as having met their soulmate or the love of my life. By definition, your best friend is someone who knows you very well and accepts you unconditionally for the person you are. You can have many arguments and disagreements in a marriage, but as long as you continue to admire and respect your partner, your relationship can stay strong year after year. 5. Having similar attitudes and outlooks, these people are the most compatible. You will always be most compatible with someone who is just about as happy and positive as you are. In fact, people with negative self-concepts are often attracted to each other and live together quite comfortably. For many people make the mistake of marrying someone who is unhappier than they are, with the firm belief that they will make the other person happy as well. But anyone who has ever gotten into a relationship with an unhappy person has discovered the awful truth. The positive person does not bolster the negative person and brighten up his or her mood and outlook. The negative person usually drags the positive person down. Soon, incompatibility, unhappiness, and frustration set in, and the relationship comes to an end. 6. Communication. This is the real key to happy relationships. The quality of your communication determines the quality of your life in every area, especially in marriage. In a way, it is true that men are from Mars and women are from Venus, as the classic book title says. Men and women think, feel, and communicate differently from each other. It is essential for your happiness that you recognize the difference in communication styles and build them into your interactions with the other person. According to MRI scans, when a man communicates, he uses only 2 centers of his brain. But when a woman communicates, she uses 7. Women have far more complex inner lives than men do. They think, question, evaluate, wonder, and dwell upon subjects, especially their relationships, far more than men do. If you ask a woman what she is thinking about or how she feels about something, she will always have a detailed answer. Jerry Seinfeld said in a comedy skit that women are always wondering what men are thinking about, and the answer is simple: not much. Research shows that when a man and woman sit together watching television, 80% of the man's brain shuts down while the sound and images of the television program go past. The woman sitting next to him has fully 80% of her brain lit up like a Christmas tree while she watches the program and thinks of many other things at the same time. In relationships, men tend to be more direct and women tend to be more indirect. To communicate more effectively, women often need to become more expressive and direct to get their point across. For a man to communicate more effectively with a woman, he must listen patiently and attentively while she talks, without making any attempt to interrupt or add his opinions or points of view. Attention, affection, and respect, the primary needs that women have in relating to men, are attention, affection, and respect. They need to be listened to and taken seriously. They need to know their partners are putting aside all other concerns and concentrating on what they are saying, thinking, and feeling. Both men and women can improve the quality of their communications by practicing the 4 listening skills discussed earlier. They can listen attentively without interrupting. They can pause before replying to carefully consider what the other person has said. They can question for clarification to be sure that they understand what the other person meant, and they can feed back what the other person has said in their own words to assure clarity of understanding. Achieve your full potential. You grow toward the realization of your full potential only when you are in a healthy, happy relationship with someone you love, respect, and admire, and someone who loves, respects, and admires you. The building and maintaining of high-quality relationships is the key to health, happiness, and true joy in life. You can become much better at building a high-quality relationship by setting it as a goal and working on it all the time. In the final analysis, your own level of self-esteem, self-respect, and personal pride is the key factor in determining the quality of your relationships with others. Most of your negative emotions, those destructive feelings that hold you back and undermine your happiness, are associated with your relationships with other people, past and present. As you become a more positive, optimistic person, your relationships improve in every area. As your relationships improve and you feel loved and respected by the important people in your life, most of your negative feelings dissipate and disappear like cigarette smoke in the air. Chapter 7. Get on with it. There is one quality that one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to achieve it. Napoleon Hill. Now that you have released your brakes and removed your limitations, you are ready to make the rest of your life the best of your life. You know that your life is what your thoughts make of it. You do become what you think about most of the time. Your thoughts and the way you interpret your past and present determine your feelings. Your feelings determine your actions and your results. By taking complete control of your mind, the only thing over which you have complete control, you can change the entire direction of your life. Remember, you choose what thoughts to have more of and which thoughts to have less of. Positive or negative thinking, the most positive, optimistic, happy people in every area think very differently than average people whose emotions go back and forth continually, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. Many people are easily influenced by the most recent event that has occurred, or by the last person they spoke to. They change their minds and emotions quickly, and then change them again. Most people have had difficult experiences growing up. They have had problems in adult life. If they are not careful, they can cling to these experiences, continually reviewing and rehearsing them, keeping them alive, sabotaging themselves year after year. This is not for you. You must choose to let go of these past experiences and move forward. Fill your mind with what you want to be. The key to success, happiness, and complete fulfillment is to fill your mind with thoughts, words, images, and emotions consistent with the person you want to be and the life you want to live. To truly get on with your life and realize your full potential, you must become powerful, purposeful, and self-directed. That is what you will learn to do in this chapter. The 7 keys to great achievement. There are 7 key parts of your life in which you must develop absolute clarity in order to unleash all your mental, physical, and emotional powers toward great achievement. 1. Values. The happiest and most effective people are very clear about their values, what they believe in, and what they stand for. Unhappy, average people are unsure of their values, if they have any at all. Values clarification is one of the most important exercises you can do in your life. Begin by writing out a list of the 3 to 5 values or virtues that are most important to you. Then resolve to organize your life around these values and stick to them without compromise. Many of the ancient philosophical greats, from Plato and Socrates to Aristotle, have identified certain virtues and values that seem to form the character of exceptional people. Among these are integrity, courage, persistence, generosity, compassion, love, and strong family relationships and friendships. There are dozens of values that you can use to form the foundation of your character. But those are some of the very best, and they are the values that most great men and women are known for. So how can you tell what a person's true beliefs and values are? It's pretty simple. Look at his actions and behaviors, especially what he does under pressure when he is forced to choose. If you want to know the true character of a person, just watch how he behaves in the face of difficulties or when he is under stress. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught, circumstances do not make the man, they merely reveal him to himself. How do you develop a value or a virtue as a permanent part of your personality? The answer is simple. You practice that value whenever it is called for. By the law of practice, whatever you do repeatedly soon becomes a new habit and stays with you permanently. If you decide that patience is one of your most important values, then you resolve to practice patience in every situation in which it is called for. If you want to develop courage, you must practice courage whenever you feel afraid. If you want to develop the quality of integrity, then you resolve to speak and act honestly in every situation in which it is required. By practicing the values that you most admire, you can program them into your personality. Your life is lived from the inside out, and your values form your inner core. When they are clear, strong, uncompromising, and positive, they give you a strong character and a pleasing personality. A person with clear values is more positive, has a firmer handshake, makes more direct eye contact, and even walks and moves with greater strength and purposefulness. This is your goal. Exercise. Write down your top 3 to 5 values. Next to each, write a short description of how you behave when you practice that value. Why is this value important to you? 2. Vision. Once you are clear about your values, the virtues that you stand for, and the principles that you will not compromise, create your vision of your ideal future life and conditions as organized around your values. Idealize and visualize. To do this, project forward 5 years and imagine that your life is perfect in every way. What would you be doing? What would your life look like? What would be your situation in your work, family, and personal lives? And especially, how would your perfect life be different from today? Exercise, cut out a picture or pictures from a magazine illustrating your ideal life and self sometime in the future. Tape the picture up where you can see it every day, such as on the fridge or bathroom mirror. Continually imagine yourself living your ideal life. We talked about idealization earlier as part of future orientation. The happiest and most successful people are very clear about where they want to be in the long term. The greater clarity you have about your future and the more consistent it is with your values, the easier it is to make the necessary decisions each day that will eventually enable you to get to where you want to go. Mission. What is your mission in life? What do you want to accomplish by applying your personality, intelligence, ability, and skills to your world? What kind of a difference do you want to make in the lives of other people, especially your family? One of the ways to determine your mission is to imagine writing your own obituary to be read at your funeral and published in the newspaper. What would you want it to say about you and about what you accomplished in life? What would you want your obituary to say about the effect you had on the lives of other people and how you will be remembered? The greater clarity you have about how you want to be thought about after your departure, the more likely it is that you will do and be the kind of person who leaves that kind of legacy behind. Exercise, write your own obituary. Describe the kind of person you became in your life and the qualities you would like to be remembered for. Think about how you would have to live your life for your obituary to be true. 4. Purpose. You need absolute clarity about your purpose on this earth. Every person is born with a special reason for being here. What is yours? Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you do the job you do? Why are you in that relationship or raising that family? What is your real purpose? Where do you want to end up? A review of more than 500 biographies and autobiographies of noteworthy men and women found that the one common quality among them was that, from an early age, these people had a sense of destiny. They absolutely believed that they had been put on this earth to do something special with their lives, something that would help to improve the lives of other people in some way. Whether it was Albert Schweitzer, Mother Teresa, Winston Churchill, Ronald Reagan, or Pope John Paul IV, each was convinced that his or her special talents and gifts belonged to all of mankind. In order to be purposeful in your achievements and your life, you must have a purpose. In order to be focused and channeled, you must have a direction. Keep asking yourself, if I had no limitations on what I could be, have, or do, what would be my vision, mission, and purpose in life? 5. Goals. You need clear goals and plans for every area of your life. It is said that success is goals and all else is commentary. To achieve your full potential, you must have clear, written goals that you are working toward achieving each day. Without goals, you can just go around in circles, working for years and making very little progress. Thomas Carlyle wrote, "A man without goals is like a ship without a rudder. He makes no progress on even the smoothest seas. But a man with goals is like a sailor with a rudder, a map and a compass who makes progress on even the roughest seas and sails to his destination." 7 steps to set and achieve your goals. Here is a proven 7-step goal-achieving process that you can use for the rest of your life. Stione Botswana Pula. Decide exactly what you want and write it down clearly and specifically on a piece of paper. People with clear written goals earn, on average, 10 times as much as people without written goals. Stetu Botswana Pula. Set a deadline on your goals. Write down a specific date by which you intend to achieve each goal. If it is a major goal, such as financial independence, you could set your deadline 10 or 20 years down the road. You then set sub-deadlines for a series of interim goals that you will have to accomplish each month or each year to achieve your major goal. The greater your clarity with regard to your goals and the greater the emotion with which you energize them, the faster you accomplish them. The more positive you are about achieving your goals, the faster you activate all your mental faculties. You begin moving ahead at a rate that you may have never experienced before. Stethri Botswana Pulas. Identify the difficulties you will have to deal with, the problems you will have to solve, and the obstacles you will have to overcome to achieve your goals. Write them down. Review this list and identify the single biggest obstacle, either within yourself or within your world, and resolve to work on that major obstacle before anything else. Note the operative word here is major. There are no significant obstacles or difficulties standing between you and your goals, or if they are minor annoyances you're facing. You're not reaching high enough or being ambitious enough with each goal, and it is merely an activity. For example, getting to work through morning traffic is not a goal. Increasing your income, building a successful business, achieving financial independence, and losing weight are all goals because they require effort, determination, and persistence. And there is never any guarantee you will achieve them. The point is to tackle a challenge that will vault you forward in your progress toward achieving what you desire in life. Stefor Botswana Pulas. Identify the additional knowledge and skills that you will have to acquire or hire in order to achieve your goals. Remember, whatever got you to where you are today is not enough to get you any farther. To get ahead, you must master new knowledge, skills, and abilities. Whatever they are, identify them clearly, write them down, and then make a plan for their attainment. Step 5 Botswana Pulas. Identify the people, groups, and organizations whose help and cooperation you will require to achieve your goals. You need the help of lots of people to accomplish big goals. No one does it by him or herself. Remember, when you think of the people whose assistance you'll require, always ask yourself, how will they benefit? People do things for their own reasons, not for yours. Resolve in advance to be a go-giver rather than a go-getter. Look for ways to help people achieve their goals in the process of helping you to achieve yours. A mutually beneficial situation is far more appealing for everyone and builds community and connection. Stisix Botswana Pulas. Make a plan. Take all the elements that you have identified in the first 5 steps of this process and list them on a piece of paper. A plan is a list of activities organized in 2 ways. First, it is organized by sequence. What do you have to do first? Second, third, what do you have to do before you do something else? Create a checklist. Second, a plan is a list organized by priority. What is more important and what is less important? Apply the well-known 80/20th rule to your list. What 20% of your activities can potentially contribute 80% of the results you want to achieve? Discipline yourself to start on these activities first before you do anything else. Sti 7 Botswana Pulas. This is the most important step of all. Once you have decided upon your goals and organized your list of activities by sequence and priority, take action immediately. Do something as soon as you can. The faster you start working to achieve each goal, the quicker you will complete it, the sooner you will focus all your resources toward the attainment of that goal. For a complete goal-setting program at no charge, go to www.briantracy.com. Resolve to do something every day that moves you in the direction of your most important goal. Every morning when you get up, think about at least one step you can take that day that will move you closer to the attainment of that goal. Resolve to do something every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, without fail. When you do something every day, you trigger the magic power of the momentum principle. This principle says that it may take 10 units of energy to get started on a new goal, but once you start moving, it takes only 1 unit of energy to keep moving forward. When you force yourself to launch toward your goal, you break the bonds of inertia that hold most people in place, and you begin to unleash all of your powers. 6. Priorities. You need clear priorities to determine what is important and valuable to you and what is not. You cannot manage time itself. You can only manage yourself and how you spend yours. Time management is life management. Time management is the ability to choose the sequence of events. It is the ability to choose what you do first, what you do second, and what you do not at all, and you are always free to choose. This is the key to success in life. You will always be overwhelmed with too much to do and too little time. No matter how clever you are in organizing your time and your work, you will never get caught up. Throughout your life, you will continually have to set clear priorities on the use of your time, based on the value of that activity compared with anything else you could do at that moment. To accomplish anything of value, you must be able to set priorities and stick to them. 7. Actions. Once you are clear about your values, vision, mission, purpose, goals, and priorities, you must have the willpower and discipline to launch yourself into continual action in the direction of your dreams. Throughout this book, we have explained the central role of self-esteem in success, happiness, and good relationships. The core driver of self-esteem is self-efficacy. This is defined as how effective you feel you are at doing what you are doing and how competent you feel to achieve your goals. The more you like yourself, the better you do almost everything in your life. And the better you do the most important things in your life, the more you like yourself. Self-esteem and self-efficacy reinforce each other. Performance-based self-esteem. This brings us to what is called performance-based self-esteem. It seems that you truly like and respect yourself only when you know, deep down inside, that you are good at what you do and that you are capable of setting and achieving the goals that are important to you. People who have never set and achieved a major goal always experience feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. They doubt themselves and their abilities. They are never sure of themselves and are plagued by fears of failure and rejection. As a result, they play it safe and settle for less in life than is truly possible for them. But people who have set and achieved one or more big goals are filled with confidence and enthusiasm. The very thought of a new challenge raises their self-esteem, increases their courage and confidence, and propels them forward toward the achievement of even bigger goals in the future. Remember, a big success. You can probably relate to this idea. Think about something you worked hard to achieve and how you felt when you had accomplished the task. You felt more capable, more confident, and more in control of your life. The achievement of success is not the most important thing. What is most important is the person you have to become, the character and qualities that you have to develop in order to settle their success in that party. To achieve something that you have never achieved before, you must become someone you have never been before. You must do things you have never done before, over and over again, until you actually become a new person. You actually shape and sculpt your personality and develop your character to a higher level as the result of your clarity about your goals and your persistence in achieving them. Pushing to the front, the most productive and effective people tend to have an intense excellence orientation. They are determined to be very good at what they do. They think about excellence and high achievement all the time. They are never satisfied with their current level of performance. They are always raising the bar on themselves. In my 20s, I was unemployed and hungry to succeed at something, anything. I finally found a job in straight commission sales, knocking on doors throughout the day and into the evenings. One day, the top salesman in my company said to me, "Did you know that you have to be in the top 20% of people in this business if you want to make the big money?" When I heard that, I was initially crestfallen. I had never been good at anything in my life. I had dropped out of high school and worked at laboring jobs for several years. I was struggling as a door-to-door salesman at the time, and now I was told that I would have to be among the best if I wanted to succeed in this field or any other field. A revelation. Then I learned something that changed my life. Everyone in the top 20% of their field started off in the bottom 20%. Everyone who is doing well today in any field was once doing poorly. Everyone who is at the front of the line of life started at the back of the line. Everyone in the top 20% in your field today was at one time not in your field and did not even know that it existed. But no one is better than you, and no one is smarter than you. If someone is doing better than you, it is simply because he or she has learned the critical skills necessary in that field and practiced them more often than you have. And what others, sometimes hundreds of thousands of others, have done, you can do as well. All skills are learnable. This realization changed my life. Then I got another shocker. I discovered that all business skills are learnable. All technical skills are learnable. All career skills are learnable. As with reading, writing, and arithmetic, no one starts off with these skills. Everyone has to learn them over time. All business skills are learnable. All sales skills are learnable. All money-making skills are learnable as well. And anything that hundreds of thousands, even millions of other people have learned, you can learn as well. No one is better than you, and no one is smarter than you. This revelation changed my life. From that moment onward, I became a dedicated student of personal and professional development. I read every book and article I could find that would help me to improve my performance. I listened to audio programs while walking around and in my car. I attended every seminar and workshop I could find. I later took thousands of hours of university courses to upgrade my knowledge and skills so that I could achieve my goals faster and more predictably. The magic of personal development changed my life. It made me a completely different person. Over the years, I have worked with hundreds of thousands of people in 80 countries who have said the same thing. Almost all of them started off from humble beginnings. They had achieved everything they had achieved through hard work and commitment to developing themselves and their abilities. And what other people all over the world have done, you can do as well. Another wonderful thing about personal development on your journey to excellence is that each time you learn something new that can help you, your self-esteem goes up. You feel happier and more in control of your life. You feel more powerful and have greater self-respect. It is not just the ultimate goal of becoming excellent in your field that contains the payoff. It is every step along the way. Be the best at what you do. Just as goal achieving changes your character, becoming excellent at what you do changes your character. The only way that you can truly enjoy high levels of sustained self-esteem and self-confidence is when you know, deep in your heart, that you are very good at what you have chosen to do. And once you have that, no one can ever take it away from you. Abraham Lincoln said, "The only security that a person can ever have is the ability to do a job uncommonly well." Here is a question for you. What one skill, if you were absolutely excellent at it, would help you the most to move ahead in your career? Your weakest skill, it seems that your weakest important skill sets the height of your success, achievement, and income in any field. Bringing up your level of performance in your weakest skill area can do more to propel you forward than any other action you can take. Many of my students have doubled and tripled their incomes in just a few months by identifying their weakest skill and then committing themselves to mastering that skill in every way possible. Set it as a goal once you have identified that one skill that could help you more than any other. Apply the goal-setting process to developing that skill. Write it down as a positive affirmation. I am absolutely excellent at. Write it down and set a deadline. Determine the obstacles you will have to overcome, the people whose help you will require, and the actions you will have to take each day. Make a list, organize it by sequence and priority, take action on your new goal, and then do something every day until you are excellent at that skill. Become intensely results-oriented. In addition to goal orientation and excellence orientation, the most successful people in every field practice intense results orientation. They think about results most of the time. They think about the most important things that they can do each day and each hour. They then discipline themselves to work on their top tasks most of the time. In every field, people who work on the top 20% of their tasks, i.e. the tasks that have the biggest positive impact on their success, accomplish 5 to 10 times as much as the average person, even though others may have the same level of knowledge, education, and skill. In your work life, results are everything. They are the only thing that counts for success and advancement. They are the critical determinants of how much you are paid and how quickly you are promoted. Nothing can replace the need to get results in a steady, predictable, and consistent way. All top people focus on results most of the time. Increase your productivity. To achieve more and better results, here are some key questions you can ask yourself every day. 1. Why am I on the payroll? What have I been hired to accomplish? Why do they pay me money at my job? What specific results am I expected to contribute to my company? 2. What are my highest value-added tasks? Of all the things that I do, which ones are more valuable than anything else in achieving the results that are most important to my company? 3. What are my key result areas? What are the 5 to 7 tasks I do that make up my job? Where am I stronger? Where am I weaker? In what areas could I improve my knowledge or skills? Where do I need to work harder to master my key tasks? 4. What can I, and only I, do that, if it's done well, will make a real difference to my company and my life? This is something that only you can do. If you don't, no one else will do it for you. But if you do it, and you do it well, it can make a big difference in your work or in your personal life. What is it? 5. What is the most valuable use of my time right now? Helping you determine the most valuable use of your time at every minute is the final aim of all time management exercises. Focus on your contribution. The focus on results, on making a maximum contribution, is closely connected to your self-esteem and self-confidence. The more you feel that you are making a real contribution in your work and in your life, the more you like and respect yourself, and the happier you are. The more you contribute, the higher is your self-esteem. The more you contribute, the more you are esteemed and respected by the people around you. The more you contribute, the better results you get, and the more you feel in complete control of your life and your future. 7 keys to a positive personality. Mental fitness is like physical fitness. You develop high levels of self-esteem and a positive mental attitude with training and practice. Here are the 7 keys to becoming a completely positive person. 1. Positive self-talk. Speak to yourself positively. Control your inner dialogue. Use affirmations, statements phrased in the positive, present, and personal tense. I like myself. I can do it. I feel terrific. I am responsible. Most of your emotions are determined by the way you talk to yourself throughout your day. The sad fact is that if you do not deliberately and consciously talk to yourself in a positive and constructive way, by default, you will think about things that make you unhappy or cause you worry and anxiety. Your mind is like a garden. Either weeds or flowers will grow. But if you do not deliberately plant flowers and tend them carefully, the weeds, the negative thoughts, will grow without any encouragement at all. 2. Positive visualization. The ability to visualize and see your goals as already realized is perhaps the most powerful ability that you have. Create a clear, exciting picture of your goal and your ideal life, and replay this picture in your mind over and over. All improvement in your life begins with an improvement in your mental pictures. As you see yourself on the inside, you will be on the outside. 3. Positive people. Your choice of the people with whom you live, work, and associate will have more of an impact on your emotions and your success than any other factor. Decide today to associate with winners, with positive people, with people who are happy and optimistic, and who are going somewhere in their lives. Avoid negative people at all costs. Negative people are the primary source of most of life's unhappiness. Resolve that from today onward, you are not going to have stressful or negative people in your life. 4. Positive mental food. Just as your body is healthy to the degree to which you eat healthy, nutritious foods. Your mind is healthy to the degree to which you feed it with mental protein rather than mental candy. You should read books, magazines, and articles that are educational, inspirational, or motivational. Read material that is uplifting and that makes you feel happier and more confident about yourself and your world. Listen to positive, instructive audio programs in your car and on your smartphone. Feed your mind continually with positive messages that help you to think and act better and make you more capable and competent in your field. Watch positive programs on YouTube as well as TED Talks. Take online instruction on the subjects most important to you and read other uplifting material that makes you feel good about yourself and your life. 5. Positive training and development. Almost everyone in our society starts off with limited resources, sometimes with no money at all. Virtually all fortunes begin with the sale of personal services of some kind. Most people who are at the top today were once at the bottom, and sometimes they fell to the bottom several times. The miracle of lifelong learning and personal improvement is what takes you from rags to riches, from poverty to affluence, and from underachievement to success and financial independence. When you dedicate yourself to learning and growing and becoming better and better in your thoughts, abilities, and actions, you take complete control of your life and dramatically increase the speed at which you move upward and onward to greater heights. Positive health habits. Take excellent care of your physical health. Resolve today that you are going to live to be 80, 90, or 100 years old and still be dancing in the evenings. Eat excellent, healthy, nutritious foods and eat them sparingly and in proper balance. An excellent diet will have an immediate positive effect on your thoughts and feelings. Resolve to get regular exercise, at least 200 minutes of motion per week, walking, running, swimming, bicycling, or working out on equipment at the gym. When you exercise on a regular basis, you feel happier and healthier and experience lower levels of stress and fatigue than a person who sits on the couch and watches television all evening. Especially, get ample rest and relaxation. You need to recharge your batteries regularly, especially when you are going through periods of stress or difficulty. Vince Lombardi once said, "Fatigue doth make cowards of us all." One of the factors that predisposes us to negative emotions of all kinds is poor health habits, fatigue, lack of exercise, and non-stop work. Don't let these happen to you. 7. Positive expectations. This is one of the most powerful techniques you can use to become a positive person and to ensure positive outcomes and results in your life. Your expectations become your own self-fulfilling prophecies. Whatever you expect with confidence seems to come into your life. Since you can control your expectations, you should always expect the best. Expect to be successful in advance. Expect to be popular when you meet new people. Expect to achieve great goals and create a wonderful life for yourself. When you constantly expect good things to happen, you will seldom be disappointed. Conclusion. 7 truths about you. To be what we are and to become what we are capable of becoming is the only end of life. Robert Louis Stevenson. No matter who you are today, or what you have done or not done in the past, there are 7 essential truths about who you are as a person, deep down inside. 1. You are a thoroughly good and excellent person. You are valuable and worthwhile beyond measure. No one is better than you, and no one is smarter than you. In your heart of hearts, you're a fine human being. You're as good as or better than anyone you will ever meet. 2. You are important in many, many ways. Of course, you are important to yourself. Your entire world revolves around you. You are the most important person in your personal universe. You give meaning to everything you see or hear. Nothing in your world has any significance except for that which you attribute to it personally. You are also important to your parents. Your birth was a significant moment in their lives and still affects them today. As you grew up, almost everything you did was important and significant to them. You are important to your own family, to your mate, your spouse, your children, and the other members of your social circle. Some of the things you do or say have an enormous impact on them. In your work, you are important to your company, your customers, your coworkers, and your community. The things you do or don't do can have a tremendous effect on the lives of others. How important you believe you are largely determines the quality of your life. Happy, successful people feel important and valuable. Because they feel this way, they act this way, and it becomes true for them. Unhappy people feel devalued and unimportant. They feel frustrated and unworthy. As a result, they lash out at the world and engage in behaviors that hurt themselves and others. 3. You have unlimited potential. You have the ability to create your life and your world as you desire. You could not use your entire potential if you lived 100 lifetimes. No matter what you have accomplished so far, it is merely a hint of what is truly possible for you. And the more of your potential you develop, the more you can develop in the future. 4. You create your world in every respect by the way you think and the depth of your convictions. Your beliefs create your realities, and every belief you have about yourself you have learned, starting in infancy. The amazing discovery is that most of the negative beliefs that interfere with your happiness and success are not based in fact or reality at all. They are not true. 5. You are always free to choose. You control the content of your thoughts and the direction of your life. You control your inner life completely. You can decide to think happy, fulfilling, uplifting thoughts which lead to positive actions and results. Or you can, by default, end up choosing negative, self-limiting thoughts that trip you up and hold you back. Your mind is like a garden. Either flowers or weeds will grow. But if you do not deliberately cultivate flowers, weeds will grow automatically without any effort on your part. This simple analogy explains most unhappiness in life. People are not planting enough flowers in the form of positive, happy, uplifting thoughts. 6. You were put on this earth with a great destiny. You are meant to do something wonderful with your life. You have a unique combination of talents, abilities, ideas, insights, and experiences that make you different from anyone who has ever lived. You were designed for success and engineered for greatness. Your acceptance or non-acceptance of this truth largely determines your level of ambition and the direction of your life. 7. There are no limits to what you can do, be, or have except for those you place on your own thinking and your own imagination. The biggest enemies you will ever have are self-limiting beliefs, beliefs that are not based in fact, but that you have accepted through the years until you no longer question them. Remember this rule: it doesn't matter where you're coming from, all that really matters is where you're going. Make a decision right now that you're going to unlock your full potential and become the extraordinary person who lies deep within you. You are going to accomplish the extraordinary things that you were put in this world to do. Summary: you are a thoroughly good person. You are designed for success and engineered for greatness. You have within you more talent and ability than you could use in 100 lifetimes. There is virtually nothing that you cannot accomplish if you want it long enough and hard enough and are willing to work for it. When you learn to release your mental brakes, forgive everyone who has ever hurt you in any way, and dedicate yourself to becoming an excellent person in your relationships with others and in your work, you take full control of your destiny. You maximize all of your abilities and put yourself on the high road of health, happiness, loving relationships, maximum achievement, and complete fulfillment. There are no limits. About the authors: Brian Tracy is chairman and CEO of Brian Tracy International, a company specializing in the training and development of individuals and organizations. He has studied, researched, written, and spoken for 30 years in the fields of economics, history, business, philosophy, and psychology, and is the top-selling author of numerous books, which have been translated into dozens of languages. Christina Stein, PhD, is a speaker, author, and psychotherapist who runs a private practice in Santa Monica, California, focusing on work-life balance and male and female empowerment. She works with individuals and couples and conducts workshops to help attendees align their priorities and goals with their skills and passions. She holds a master's degree in clinical psychology from Antioch University and a PhD from the Institute for Advanced Study of Human Sexuality.